Hey everyone, Nick Dearbertis here teaching you financial modeling. Today we're going to be solving the lab exercise on how to build a simple model of stock returns. And this we're covering as part of the internal randomness material looking at discrete variables. So uh, in this lab, and this is going to be in both Excel and Python, the idea is to build a simple stock model where the stock starts at some price, it goes through a number of periods, and it just goes up or down by a fixed amount each period. So here, going up by 1% or down by 1% in each period. And it's going to be certain probabilities that the stock is going to go up or down. Here, 60% up, 40% down. And we want to visualize what happens to the stock price over time. So let's jump first to the Excel model. So we want to first make our inputs as we always do. And we're going to have here the probabilities. So we can have the up probability. And that is 60%. And we don't need to put the down probability because that's going to be 1 minus the up probability. So we can even have that as an output. Down probability is going to equal 1 minus the up probability. And then we need the up percentage, or the up return is 1%. The down return is going to be minus 1%. And then we want to make 100 periods, so we can have t, and we can have the price, and the price of, so another input is the initial price, 100, not a percentage, that's going to be general, 100. We can reference that for the initial price, and t is going to start at 0, then go to 1. And so the other thing we need besides the price, so I'm going to actually move the price over, is uh, up or down. Um, since we only have uh, two cases here, it's easy just to do this with a 1 or 0, so I'm going to say stock going up. So that's going to be 1 when the stock goes up and 0 when it is going down. Um, so here is where we can use that discrete random variable approach that we learned about for Excel. Now we only have two values to pick from, and so it's actually much simpler than what we looked at in the example. So it's just if, and we can even put the rand in here because we only have a single check. You can't do this when you have multiple conditions you need to check because you have more than two values you're choosing from. But if there's only one value, then or only two values you're choosing from, then if rand is less than 60%, so that's the 60% range, that's going to correspond to up, and otherwise it's going to be down. So that's all that's necessary here to get it going up sometimes and down sometimes based on that probability. So then we can um, select the return based upon that. So if this, and because it's 1 or 0, we can just leave it at if that. Then it's going to be the up return if true, and we want to fix that. And it's going to be the down return if false, also fixed. We can format that as percentage. So now we can see that it's when the stock's going up, we're getting 1%, and when it's going down, we're getting negative 1%. So then we can go ahead and calculate our new prices. So the new price is always going to be the last price times 1 plus the return. So then we should be able to just drag this down to 100 periods. More than enough. And I can delete off the excess. So there we have it going to 100 periods. So then the last thing that we want to do is graph this. So I'm going to highlight everything and I'll get the headers as well. And I want to insert recommended charts. So yeah, I'll do a line chart, but I'm going to have to then change the data selection. Let me just do it by dragging. We only want the price out of that. So there we go. Now we have D here on the x-axis and price on the y-axis. So then as we recalculate the model, then we will see everything update, which seems to be going down a lot. I think there may be an issue. Yep. So it was always going down. I knew that was a bad sign. It's because I forgot to fix this up probability here. So I'll go ahead and fix that. Then I should be able to just double click this to complete everywhere. Aha, now we see some other price patterns. So now as I recalculate this, okay, now it's changing. It should be usually up because there's a higher up probability. And now we are indeed seeing that is the case. So there we go. That's the exercise in Excel. We got it up to 100 periods and visualizing what's happening with the price. So now let's move over to the implementation in Python. So let's work with a blank Jupyter notebook here, and we're going to have a lot of those same inputs that we just talked about. And I know I'm going to want to use pandas for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and import that. And let's line up some of our inputs. So we're going to have 100 periods, and we're going to have the up probability as 60%, and the up return is going to be 1%. The down return is going to be minus 1%. Those are inputs, and then the down probability is just 1 minus the up probability. And we can print that out as an output. The down probability and percentage formatting. So then we want to also go ahead and build out the actual stock model part. So we need to pick for each period whether it's going to be going up or down. So there's a few different ways we can go about this. I'm going to look at an approach using a loop. So I'm going to say for I in range n, so we're going to have 100 loops. And oh, I forgot the input of initial price is going to equal 100. And here we're going to initialize price to the initial price. I didn't rerun that, that's why it was complaining. So initialize price to the initial price. And then for each period, well, we can say that year is going to equal I plus 1. And we then want to pick whether the stock is going up or down. So we're going to also need to import random. And now we can say up or down equals random dot choices. and we're going to give it up or down, and it's going to be, we'll move this to before this because we're going to want to use that. It's going to be the up prob and the down probability. And don't forget the brackets 0 at the end of that to pull it out of the list since we're just getting a single value. So then we're going to set the return. So if up or down equals up, then return. Now we don't want to use the word return because that's special in Python. We're going to use ret. Ret equals up ret. Else ret equals down ret. Okay, so now we have the return, and now we can also calculate the new price. So price is going to equal price times 1 plus return. And so the last thing that we'll want to do here is store these values so that we can put them into a data frame. So I'm going to create a list, df data, and then I'm going to append to that at the end. So I'm going to append a tuple, which has the year, and it has up or down, and it has the price. And then I can create the data frame from the df data. And the columns are going to be year, up or down, and the price. And there we have it. We have 100 periods. We have it going up or down in each period, and we have it reaching a final price by the end. So all this looks like it's working appropriately. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into a function. So this would be get price df, and that is going to take the n, the up prob, it's going to take the up ret, it's going to take the down ret, and the initial price. So this is where like doing the model inputs type structure with the data class starts to help a lot. I'm passing so many different separate things here that could have all just been a single variable. But I'll just stick with that for now. So now when I call get price df on the n, up prob, up ret, down ret, and initial price, then I get a syntax error because I forgot a colon up here, and now it works appropriately. So I can keep rerunning that, and we see different ending stock values coming there. So we have that data frame now, and we want to then plot the values over time. So we can do df.plot.line, and this is close to what we want, but we don't want the year plotted like that, right? We want the x to be equal to the year. And now we have the price going and the year is on the x, so that's what we want. So then we can create one more function, give prices and display. Again, taking the same inputs. And here, we're just going to do this same df equals get price df. And then we're going to take this df.plot.line, x equals year. So then when we call get prices and display on those same inputs, now we have a single function which gets us this graph. We can also make it return the data frame, so we can get both there from a single function. And since we have it all as a function, you know, we can easily change things out. What if we want 10,000 periods? Not a problem at all. It's going to go quite high in price by the end of 10,000 periods, but not if we change it out so that the up probability was only 1%. Now it's going to tank really quickly because it's almost always going down. So we create the function and then we can play around with it in any way. What if the up return was really, really high? Well, then it basically is low, 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 and then it hits that one period where it goes high and then goes super high. Um, so you can play around with it easily once you've built out that function. So that covers the lab exercise on building out a simple stock model in Excel and Python. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.